Welcome to this webinar on how to get 50 new patients this month. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on marketing magic. Our first part was focused on how to retain your existing patients and make sure that they are coming into your office regularly and they are also maximizing all of the treatment you have to offer and other specials you may be running. So this webinar is focused on new patients. It's all about new patients, folks, this time around. And we're really excited because we have those strategies that are easy, quick, and affordable. They're not going to break the bank, and you'll really see a nice return on your investment with these marketing strategies. I am your host, Neil Kotari, the Chief Operating Officer of PracticeWeb, and I'm delighted to spend time with you today to cover these marketing strategies. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of that. What I would love for all of you to do is like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, PracticeWeb Dental, and certainly click that bell icon to make sure you get notified anytime we have great new content like what we're presenting here today. So please take a moment to like the video, subscribe, and enable those notifications. So, patient growth. Let's talk about this and let's look at some numbers before we dive into marketing strategies for new patients. What does patient growth look like in the top 10% of dental practices? Well, we have some statistics to get an idea of this. We want to get a sense of how dentists are doing across the board. So one issue that everyone deals with when thinking about patient growth is the loss of patients that inevitably will come, because no matter how hard you try, some of your patients will not return to your practice the next year. And that could be because they have moved to a new location, they have switched to a different provider, they simply are not taking their dental hygiene seriously, and they're not showing up for their recall visits. And despite our best attempts, we might see that loss. So according to a study by Dental Economics, on average, you'll see about a 17% annual loss, which is a big number. We can bring that number down. This is what we talked about in our last webinar. So be sure to check out that one on how to retain existing patients. But nevertheless, you're gonna see some loss. And if you take a practice that has 2,500 patients, a fairly average practice, doing pretty well, you're gonna have a loss of patients of roughly 425 per year. And that equates to 35 patients lost per month. So we not only want to grow our practice with new patients, but we also have to backfill and recover from this continual loss of patients that we see every year. Now, if we're trying to hit that 18% net annual growth, which is according to a study done by Dental Intel, that is what the top 10% of dental practices are experiencing, 18% net annual growth. So then you need to achieve that, you need to get about 876 new patients per year. And I did talk about getting 50 new patients this month, and we've really been focusing on that number. But that's really what I would suggest is the minimum target, because to get this 18% growth, to be in that top upper echelon of top 10% of dental practices, you need 73 new patients per month. So these are the numbers. This is what we're aiming for. You want to shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon. So we're really trying to shoot for the stars here. And some of you may already be achieving this or exceeding this number, which is excellent. And others may need to do a bit more work. And so that's why we want to give these strategies for all of you regarding attracting new patients. So what is that first strategy? Where do we start with new patient marketing? Well, we want to create a referral program, and we want to definitely track our new patient sources. Where are the new patients coming from? So with PracticeWeb, you definitely have features to let you do this, but the thing here is you'll get new patients coming in, which is excellent, but you are not really systematically tracking where they're coming from, right? And that's something that is really, really important. And some practices are doing this, some are not, but we definitely want to implement a system for this. because that's the only way you're going to know if you invest time, energy, resources into some of these marketing channels we're going to talk about today. You want to see if it's actually working and run reports in Practice Web to figure that out. So what should we do to make this happen? Well, first of all, tag each and every patient with the referral source. So in Practice Web, when you are editing a patient information or you're adding a new patient, there is an option at the bottom left to tag the patient, where are they getting referred from. And that is a very simple process. We have a separate referral tracking tutorial on this, but I'm going to show you just when you click on those 3 dots next to the referred from field in the edit patient information screen, it'll allow you to select the referral source. So it usually prompts you whether this is an existing patient that this new patient came from, where they were referred by an existing patient, or is it a different referral source? And so other referral sources could include other dentists in your area, or you want to definitely list your marketing channels. So let's say you have an excellent Facebook page, which we highly recommend that you do have, an Instagram page, you have Google marketing that you're doing, maybe you're maintaining your Yelp page, which you should also be doing, website, maybe you're getting folks from the website. So whatever the source, you want to tag it, because then you can see what's working, what's not. And so simply add those referral sources. So there's an add button in the bottom left of this screen, and you can add a new source. If you don't have Facebook in there, you can add that. So this is a simple strategy of tagging every patient, but it's super important. There is a report in Practice Web. It's a standard report. So you go to your reports menu, click on standard, and then on the right side, there's a report called referral analysis. So that's what you want to run at least once a month and just see, am I getting patients coming in from my existing patients through word of mouth, and what amount, and also actually which patients are really great advocates of our practice, and let me make sure to recognize them. Secondly, are they coming from online digital marketing channels like Facebook? And if so, what is that looking like in terms of production and number of patients? And then finally, if we're getting patients from other dentists, other medical providers, who are those folks? And I really want to recognize their efforts as well. So this is a great report to run every month at a minimum. Now, as I mentioned, we do have another referral tracking webinar on our YouTube page, and we'll link that down below in the description. So just click there and you'll find that. But take a look at that separate tutorial. It's a short one, but it'll give you a little bit more detail on this process. Now, we have set up this tagging process, very important as a starting point. Now, let me give a quick strategy here on patient referral program. So every single dental office watching this should have a patient referral program that is very robust and active. So it's more than just telling folks once in a while to send other friends and family your way. There's more to this. So first of all, what is the power of patient referrals? If your existing patients are referring new ones to your office, it's really makes a big chunk of that new patient source, because about 20 to 50% of new patients come from that word of mouth advocacy. So that's an important part of your new patient source. Now, when a patient is referred by one of their friends or family members, then they're 4 times more likely to choose that dentist. They'll say, yeah, I trust that recommendation, I'm going to go for it. And, they're also more loyal as well. And the final thing here is that when you give your existing patients something to talk about, let's give them something to talk about. You give them an exclusive offer to share with their friend or family member, then 91% of them will spread the word for you. So there's a real power to a patient referral program. Now, how do we create that program? Number one is every day, it's a daily battle. We want to create that awesome experience from check-in to check-out. And that will do a big chunk of the work here, because even if you don't want to do everything else, we give them an awesome experience, that'll still bring in some patient referrals. And we did actually go into detail about that in the last webinar regarding what makes up an awesome experience. Next, you definitely want to ask verbally. Don't just rely on the experience that it'll do the trick. You want to ask verbally as much as you can, and in print. So when I talk about print, I'm referring to business cards. Even on your invoices in Practice Web, you can customize them to put a message regarding your referral program. So put those on your invoices. Put them on any other promotional materials you have in the office. Put signs up in your office. Have it all over, so no one's gonna say, "Oh, I didn't know about that referral program." Also get the word out virtually through email and text campaigns. I'm going to get into that in a little bit here in more detail, but that's another really good strategy to get the word out. Thank anyone who is doing a great job referring to your practice, right? We want to thank them. We want to recognize their efforts. So you can even have a leaderboard in your office where, in a HIPAA compliant manner, maybe first name and last initial, something like that, you can recognize folks who have referred. And so that really encourages others to do the same. And not only that, but give them some reward of some sort, whatever you can manage to recognize their efforts. And that will encourage them to keep doing what they're doing. Another strategy is running a social contest. So on social media, we can run a contest where if they refer patients to your office, they can get in for a drawing of some sort, a raffle, or you can just, also just go right to the incentives and say, look, if you refer, then we'll give you a free teeth whitening or some other kind of tangible item that you think that will be affordable for your practice and really excite your patients. So think about whether you have a younger patient base, an older patient base, what's going to really get them excited. Apple products are always useful. You have all kinds of branded materials you can hand out, like branded hygiene kits, etc. So yeah, I mean, you have tons to choose from in terms of incentives. And then exclusive deals, as I mentioned earlier, give your existing patients an exclusive deal that they can tell their friends and family members about. And that will really encourage them to get talking, right? Something that they couldn't get otherwise. Like, this has to be a really nice, sweet deal for them to present it to their friends and family members. That will get some momentum building up. And then encourage them to refer the world. And what I mean by that is, if they're putting patient reviews out there on your social media, if they are, just kind of sharing your social media posts to other people in the world, then that's gonna really increase your exposure. So get that exponential effect going through patient reviews and sharing posts, etc. So we'll talk about that more in detail during this webinar. I referred earlier to email and text marketing to spread the word about your patient referral program. So this is an example from our PW newsletter service, where you can send out emails to all your patients about anything. And this is a great service for your newsletters every month regarding what's going on in the practice, specials you're running. And we went into this in the last webinar as well with the existing patient marketing. But newsletters are great, but you can have a focused newsletter or email campaign just on the patient referral program. So here's an example where it's mentioning the incentive, about $25 off treatment. You get some sort of credit. You can put whatever incentive you want, but just encouraging them to send referrals your way, right? So that can be done through email marketing. You can send out one blast email to all your patients. All 2,500 patients will get that same message, and that'll really turbocharge your referral program. Similarly, with texting, we have PW Connect patient texting in Practice Web. You can set up a whole email or a text campaign to send out with a single click a text message to all thousands of patients, and that will really be effective. And as we know, texting is the most effective way to get in front of one of your patients in terms of your messaging. So an example here is, hi, I hope you're doing well. If you've enjoyed your dental care from us, please be sure to refer your family and friends. If any of your referrals book with us, they schedule, you'll get a free teeth whitening or other goodies of your choice. So some sort of similar message would be effective. And that's really, again, to spread the word specifically about your patient referral program. Now, that was the first strategy, tracking everything, tagging, and then this patient referral program. Next strategy is developing an exciting and interactive website. Critical. This is the modern storefront in the year 2021. It's not just about how your physical office looks from the outside, but when you are online, you must be online. You want to create a very nice storefront that people can interact with. So why is this important, and what's the starting point of all this? So search engine optimization. You may have heard that term, also called SEO for short. That is a priority. Why? Because there are essentially certain things you need to do with your website that will optimize it so that Google and other search engines will push your website to the top of the search results. So if someone's looking for dentists in my area, if you do SEO, then that will really boost your ranking. So, you know, and the fact of the matter is 18% of patients don't even look past number one. They just choose number one in that search results on Google. So, you know, you definitely want to be boosting your exposure there so that you're ranking high in the Google search. An example of this is, let's say dentists in Phoenix, Arizona, that gets roughly 1 million monthly searches for that specific search. So the number one search result, whichever dentist is getting that number one spot, they're getting almost 300,000 free visitors. They didn't pay for it, but they did SEO, so they got to the top. And they're getting tons of new patients from that, probably more than they can handle. Number 10, which is still not bad, but they get 10% of the amount of free visitors. So you can see just dropping from number 1 to 10 in Google search results will really reduce your exposure. So how do we do SEO? There's tons of strategies that go into this, which we'll touch upon. But you know, first of all, the fundamentals. Build a great website. That will help with SEO. SEO looks for content and how good that content is, how relevant that content of your website is for people searching for dentists. So a couple things you can do on your website. A lot of these things you are doing already, but you really can strengthen each area and make them more dramatic and interesting. So one is meet the dentist, really personalize the dentist on your website, show the practice, have some videos up, have a video tour of your practice. It doesn't take a lot of time or money to put that together and get it on the website, so there's no reason not to have it. Don't just put up stock photos of people smiling at each other, and that's not authentic, it's not genuine, and it doesn't really appeal to people. So you want to show your actual practice, and preferably with a video tour right up front. Have a smile gallery, have a before and after. That really gets people excited about how they'll be able to change and transform their smile. Have a very easy to understand, layman's terms explanations of all the services you provide. You don't have to put a whole novel of information. You can, focus on what you want to really promote there. Have the ability for patients to see and read reviews on your website, directly on your website. Have the ability to complete forms, so that's also convenient. And you can do both of those things, the reviews and the forms. You can do that through PracticeWeb on your website. So we can help you do all this stuff on your website when it comes to reviews and forms. And then lastly, this is really useful for SEO. So if you have a nice blog, and there's actually companies out there that help you write these blogs. But if you don't want to take that help, certainly you could assign someone in the office to write short articles and create a blog about your practice, about these different services, patient education, etc. And that will really boost your SEO because Google's going to see that you have all this helpful content that patients would love to read. So Google is basically trying to connect the visitors, the patients, with helpful content. So if the more you put on your website, but not cluttered, but good, relevant content, it's going to match them up with those patients and boost your ranking in Google search results. And then you'll get more and more exposure. So that's what you do with the website. I do have a few more pointers on that. We want to make it interactive, give patients their next step. What should they do now that they're on your website? You want to do a couple of things. Have a book online now, or book now button, if possible, which means online scheduling. You want to give them options, different other options as well to contact you, call, text, email. Maybe you give them an offer about getting a free second opinion if you provide the types of services where that's common. Scheduling maybe a virtual smile consult. For example, if you're doing orthodontics, Invisalign, smile transformations, cosmetic, you can provide these virtual smile consults. And actually with PracticeWeb, we have a teledentistry service that you could use for this very purpose. Maybe you can provide a new patient offer or gift. So that could be something as a call to action for that person visiting your website. And then finally, you can do a smart automated chat on your website where a lot of website developers will provide this to you, where you can answer some basic questions automated on your website. Like if they're asking about certain services or insurances or hours of your office, location, then this smart chat can automatically give them replies. So that's good. Now, another thing that's good for SEO that Google looks for is making sure your website is mobile friendly. So if you haven't done so already, definitely check out your website on your smartphone, your own website, and see how it looks. Is the formatting good? Is it easy to navigate, etc.? Because 60% of searches are now done on smartphones, not on a computer, as you might think, so all of us are just going on our phones looking things up. And Google checks, because of that, Google checks your website's mobile experience when ranking sites. So if your website does not translate well on a smartphone, it looks messed up or it's hard to navigate, then Google's going to push you down in those rankings. So that's another important thing for SEO. Now, I want to show a few examples of websites just briefly that we felt were very nice and compelling. This is a pediatric practice. You can see that whatever your practice is, you want to convey that emotion that you would hope them to experience, the patient to experience when they come in. So this is, you can see looks like a very friendly doctor, at least from the picture, high-fiving the young patient, and they're having fun. And there's a nice quote about this being the best experience at a kid's dentist. So that's a good start. They also put their hours, number, contact information right up front. You don't have to dig into like internal pages to find the contact information, put it right at the front. They also have a whole section dedicated to what's going to happen in that first visit. So again, this website is optimized to attract new patients, right? So they have a special page for that. That's nice. And then they also have forms, as I was talking about, which you can do through PracticeWeb, paperless forms, as well as a patient login, and that you can do through PracticeWeb as well. We have a patient portal, so you can have the login link for the patient portal through PracticeWeb on your website. So this is nicely optimized website. Another example, this is cleaner. It's more modern. It's a bit, more in the modern approach, but I think both websites are actually fairly modern, but this is more of a clean, streamlined approach. I would say gearing more towards an old, not the pediatric, but older patient base, right? So here, what do we see? There's a book online button, as I was mentioning. So they have online scheduling. There's also the ability to call or text the office number. So we have that ability through our texting service in PracticeWeb, where you can set up your landline to accept those text messages. So you can do the same thing here using PracticeWeb. There, up there at the top, they have the different services clearly listed that you can click on and find out about. And then there's a whole new patient section that will be geared towards explaining that experience to new folks. This is the last website I'm going to show you, which is also has some great stuff. They have that chat that I was talking about, a smart chat, which is automated. They have a free consult that you can do, a 5-minute virtual consult for smiles. They have that request appointment button, similar to online scheduling. And then they have that before and after section, which is nice. I mean, people love to see those transformations. So 3 great websites and lots more you can do as well. There is a special offer we have here. We partner up with DocSites. It's a great team of folks there. The link is below in the description in this YouTube video, and you can take advantage of the special offer where they take care of all of this stuff for you. They'll set up your website, get you a very nice SEO optimized website, do all the heavy lifting for you. And there's a 50% offer because if you work with us, they will give you a sweet deal. And then there's just a minimum fee to kind of continue hosting that website. So they have some great designs and it's very much optimized. So check them out and click that link below in the description. We do have a webinar that we did with them where we covered more about practice websites. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description to check out more about practice websites. Now, next strategy is make your dental practice virtually convenient. So we want to make it physically convenient in terms of the location of the practice, accessibility, etc. But again, always think online first. Is it online accessible, online convenient? And you may think it is, but there's a lot you can do here. One question I have for all of you is, when was the last time you called to book a flight or hotel, right? That is a ancient history at this point. Probably 10 to 20 years ago, you may have done this. Nowadays, you don't even think about calling an airline or a hotel to book. You go online, you do some comparison, you click, and it's done, right? So this is the experience that patients now expect with their dentists. And that's not just me saying this. There's a lot of statistics to back this up. 77% of patients want to schedule online instead of calling you. That's with a very large study done by Intuit Health. So they found that information. And 38% of appointments are scheduled after hours. This is from actually several years ago, so it's probably more now. But what that means is patients are contacting you after hours. You may not be open, no one's answering, so they maybe leave a voicemail hoping to get a call back the next day. But it's going to be outside of those 8 to 5 or normal business hours, whether it's online or through just calling. And then it takes about 8 minutes to schedule over the phone. So that's why patients don't like to do that. They like to just have all the information at their disposal, and they can do it whenever they want, and they don't have to waste time talking to someone on the phone. So these are the stats and proof why online scheduling is the now. It's the way of now. So how do we implement this? We have a feature through Practice Web for online scheduling. So I'm going to use that example here to illustrate this. You can put a book now button. This is like a Facebook page, for example, but you could have this also on your website, like we saw in that website example. You could have it on your Instagram page. You can have it anywhere online. So there's a book now button. So new patients will see that. They'll click on it. They'll be taken to an online appointment book where they can choose the appointment type, and you can determine what appointment types are kind of put out there for online scheduling. It doesn't have to be everything. So let's say emergency exams or new patient exams. And then they can select their provider, select the date, then they'll see all the time slots that are available, and they can simply choose what works for them. It's that easy. And then there's a couple other steps in the process, which is very simple, but this is pretty much the main work that they have to do. And it's really easy. Once they book that appointment online, they'll be able to also complete their forms online as the next step. So that whole thing is taken care of. They don't have to do it in the office. And nowadays patients are really used to doing this, so they're not as kind of, I guess they're not as disturbed by having to fill out their forms online. So we have more information on online scheduling. Click the link in the description below for this webinar, which is online scheduling webinar, and you can see in detail how that process works. But certainly provide that option. Make yourself virtually convenient. The other way to be virtually convenient is through texting. We always like to share these statistics that 95% of texts are replied to within 3 minutes. Email is much longer, if ever. So emails are much less effective. And the other thing is that 96% of American adults use texting, and they use it almost 3 hours per day. So it's really the way to reach your patients, whether they're new or existing. And so with new patients, you want to give them that very convenient process from before they even step foot in your office. So when they set up an appointment, whether it's online scheduling or maybe they just called in, they schedule an appointment. If you have texting, they will automatically get several text messages, reminders, and confirmations to make sure that they don't forget about that, and they keep it on their radar, right? That's automated, and so we have automated texting that again has the reminders. You can even include forms in there if you need to. So that is very, very good for them. Another thing that they like is that they have the ability to text you. So we saw on that website where it said call or text our office number. So you can do that with Practice Web, and that'll just show up in your text button at the top. There'll be an alert if anytime there's a new text that comes in, and then you can talk to them, answer questions. So again, before the new patient steps foot in your office, you are giving a great, very convenient experience to them, and they can ask these questions, whether it's about insurance or something about how the appointment's going to go, how long it might take, et cetera, et cetera. So texting. And now, after we've made our practice virtually convenient, another strategy is let's make a splash in social media. Let's really get out there, and it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It's easier than we think to really create a splash in social media, at least in your local community, right? And this quote is great. It really gets the point across that businesses nowadays don't have a choice of whether or not to do social media. Their choice is how well they'll do it, right? So it's not a yes or no, or if not type of situation. It's, I gotta do it, let me do it well, to make sure I'm out there and I'm able to compete with other dentists who are providing similar services. So the question is, there's so much we can do online. It can become overwhelming, and every day there's like a new social media app or service. So if I had to just do 2 or 3 things, what would I do? It would be Facebook and Instagram. Those are still the king and queen, if you will, of social media. And you want to at least be present in these 2 channels. If you can do more than that, that's great. TikTok is big now, especially if you have your younger patient base. You also have many other social media sites out there that are cropping up. So that's great, but at least do Facebook and Instagram well. Now, what kind of impression should we be going for on social media? What is our goal here? It's not a hint is that it's not to promote yourself, at least not directly promoting your practice. You want to really be that cool person that everyone wants to be around. So you want to have fun. You want to make it interesting, exciting, light, and really connect with people on social media. And so if you're just sitting there putting out offers about 20% off of this and free cleanings and free this, free that, and you're using social media just for that purpose, you're missing the point. Social media was created to build relationships and to connect with other folks. So that's what we want to do. And yeah, indirectly, that will definitely drive new patients. That's a big reason why we do it to your practice. So what are some of the tips, general tips on what to do with social media? Post consistently and often. For you, it could be once a week, once a day, once every 2 weeks, but whatever you do, be consistent and do it often. Don't do it once every 6 months, because then you're not going to get that traction. Like I just said, don't promote, I would say more than 20% of the time. Don't put out sales and specials and stuff too often, because that can really reduce your engagement, and people will get annoyed by that, because the social media is not really intended for that purpose. Make it fun and educate patients. They'll get really excited about your practice through that. Wow them. So if you have a brand new scanner that you're really proud of, you have a new location that you're building or you just moved into, you have a really great new provider in the office, new dentist that has great credentials, people are just having fun, you just wow them, make people excited about it. Tag relevant hashtags on your posts. And the reason to do that is it'll just get more exposure. So if you have, some like maybe 10 or 15 hashtags, then you'll get more exposure for those posts that you're doing on Facebook, and more importantly for Instagram. Get engagement. So, mix it up where sometimes you ask questions interesting questions that hopefully someone will respond to, or run contests. And I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. Video. So it's all about video in 2021. Post short clips of anything and everything that you think is relevant to a dental audience. So it could be some patient education that you're personally putting out there. It could be even like your office team celebrating something, a holiday or some sort of accomplishment. Just put video. It's really fun to watch that stuff, and it gets people engaged on your social media. Now, a couple of more tips here, what to post. Before and after photos are great. Testimonials, genuine, like kind of really heart-wrenching testimonials are effective. Infographics, tips about oral hygiene, your team having fun, as I just mentioned, updates about your office, and humanizing the doctor, showing them inside and outside the practice if you can. And that will really start to build that emotional connection between new patients and the dentist and the hygienist in your office who they're going to be seeing for treatment. Run some fun contests, get engagement that way. And then if you're doing any events or community service, definitely share that on your social media. So these are a good set of things to have, like a checklist. Now, some examples of this. So we all cannot post this kind of thing on Instagram. We're not all Kim Kardashian's dentists. So this is what some folks may be doing. I'm not asking you to do this because we can't. So I'm asking you to do something more simple. I just wanted a kind of a humorous example there, but we're not having to do that. We can sort of create our own niche and focus on our specialty. So here's a great example I wanted to share, which is the dentist mom. It's one of the Instagram influencers in the dental space. So she's a pediatric dentist and really focuses on that and does some great work in that area. So she has, as you can see, I mean, we may not achieve that anytime soon, but 230,000 followers, probably around the country. But what she does is effective. So here's some examples. This is going to be a video example. So you can see here that in this video, she's really educating her audience about how to use the high chair for infant brushing. So really addressing common challenges faced by these parents of how to do this, right? So that kind of video, as you just saw, is really interesting and for your target audience, which are parents. Next, for parents, you have a really nice infographic about tooth eruption and when things will happen and just what to expect. So again, a great infographic here on tooth eruption. Here's some, not before and afters, but here's what to expect with baby teeth, because parents are always going to be a little high strung and they might see something and really panic about it. So this is kind of putting parents at ease about the whole universe of things that could happen, and it's not really unusual, nothing to worry about. So that's a great post. Here's, again, humanizing the doctor, as I mentioned. This is actually timely because we're coming up on Halloween soon here, but this is showing the doctor and her family celebrating Halloween. Simple post, but really humanizes the doctor, makes it fun. And now new patients looking at this, I'm sure they'll get excited to go see this doctor. Here's that 20 person I was talking about. So, and it's very, very nicely done here, not really outwardly promoting, but you can see she's mentioning here that they had some, developments in terms of a new clinic, new offerings. So she's just kind of putting it out there and giving an option or opportunity for people to take advantage of that service, which is very specific for children with autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. So it's a nice way to get the word out, but again, not obnoxious or annoying. This is the contest. So I wanted to give you an example of the contest. So here's one where the doctor's saying, as a big thank you to each and every one of you who make this page special, we're doing a giveaway of a $100 Amazon gift card each to 3 winners. And so she explains how to enter. So see how she's promoting really engagement here. So like the post, follow her, tag a friend who could use some tips on oral health, share the post in your stories, and tag me for an extra 3 entries. And then there's a time limit for this and some other conditions. And she's running this contest. And you can see got 3,000 likes, which is really great engagement. And you know, it's a very simple, anyone can run this contest really. Obviously you need to have good exposure on Instagram, but anyone can run this. And so this is a very good example of a contest, and you guys can do all kinds of other things in your office. So that's there. And then there is a link we're going to provide in the description, or it's already there, which has a list of the top 100 dental Instagram influencers. So if you want to get inspiration, go here, check them out. I focused on Instagram today because I think it's a little bit more difficult for folks to get on there versus Facebook. Facebook is a little, you kind of have a sense of what to do there, but even there's a lot of strategy that goes into Facebook as well. But today I focused on Instagram because it's a little more of a black box for people. Now, strategy number 5, the last strategy is to increase your online reviews. Why? So a brand is no longer what we tell the customer it is. It is what customers tell each other it is. So we cannot really control the narrative anymore about our own business. The narrative is controlled by our customers. They're gonna either say positive or negative about it, and that's unfortunately or fortunately, that's gonna be your reputation. So they're leading the way, not us. And that's why reviews are ultimately important. Question here is, when was the last time you bought anything online without checking the rating and the number of reviews behind that rating, right? We go to Amazon, we go to wherever it is, Walmart, eBay, etc. We're checking the rating, that it has at least 4, 4.5, 5 stars, and how many reviews backing that up. So same thing patients are doing with dentists. Now my question is, just using as an example, which dentist would you choose? If you're trying to choose a dentist, you have this option, which has 3.5 stars, 6 reviews. So the rating is kind of low and almost barely any reviews, versus this office, which has 122 reviews and it's showing as 5 stars. I'm gonna go, without doing any further research, if I was just gonna go off of that, I'm definitely gonna go with the second office. And that's how every patient would react. And they will read some of those reviews too. So we wanna have that glowing online reputation. Now, just some more statistics here. 89% of patients read online reviews before choosing a dentist. 79% of them trust reviews as much as personal recommendations, which is tremendous. And then they read on average 10 reviews before selecting a dentist. And then finally, 52% of dentists will only see dentists, 52% of patients will only see dentists with 4 or more stars. They won't even touch the ones that have 3.5, 3, etc. So we want to have a high rating. Where should we be doing these reviews? Where do we need to be? Just like we asked about social media, that was Facebook and Instagram. When it comes to reviews, Google is still king. So Google is king because, as I'm going to explain in a moment, it really also impacts your search rankings. But you definitely want to be doing the Google reviews. Facebook would be second, Yelp would be third, but all 3 are important. You want to maintain all 3 very well. As I was mentioning, Google is king. So what happens, Google reviews, I'm not going to get into Facebook reviews in detail or Yelp reviews in detail, but we do have another webinar. I'm going to mention it later here, but we have another webinar that goes into detail about that. But let's focus on Google. So when I search dentists in Phoenix, for example, Google will show at the top, I'm sure you've seen this, where it shows the a couple of choices or options. And this is even before you get to the search results. So it's right at the top usually, and it's with a map. And you can see here, you don't see like anyone with 6 reviews and 3.5 stars. You see the heavy hitters, right? You see almost 600 reviews, 5 stars, 340 reviews, 4.5 stars. That's how you're getting up here. So that's how Google reviews themselves help you in the search rankings. And then also you can see when, even if they search you directly on the right side, you're gonna have your profile. So that's like your first impression right there before they even go to your website. They'll see your rating and how many reviews you have. So another reason. And there's more to this, but those are just two examples how Google reviews are really important. As I mentioned, we have another webinar on this, the same one where we talk about the websites. We also talk about reviews in more detail. So check that out. The link is in the description below. Then we have another point about those reviews. So how do we get those reviews? We might be asking everyone for reviews, and we might be seeing that very few of them actually take the time to find you online and fill out a review, right? And unfortunately, it's usually the angry patients that are going, and that's why unless you're really doing your proper housekeeping and maintaining your review sites, you're gonna have the 3.5 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars. So you really have to really battle that and push back and get some good reviews on there. So you can ask, you can write it up on your business cards, etc. But the much more effective way is doing an automated online request, and that can be done through email or text. So we have a service that's integrated in PracticeWeb. As soon as you complete that appointment in PracticeWeb, it will send them a review request via email and text. And that makes it super easy for them to fill that out. If you want to filter those patients so that only the happy ones actually get sent to your review sites, you can do that as well. So you have this kind of 5-star filter. If they're happy, then they'll get those links to the review sites. If you don't want to do that, the reason maybe not to do that is if you're just trying to get more volume, then don't kind of reduce the number of steps that they have to do to get to the review sites, right? So let's reduce that. And so you don't have to do this filtering, but it's a good option if you like. But yeah, that will get them there. And then all of these ratings will show up in your portal. You can track, who's happy, who's not, how has the rating progressed over time. Maybe you made some changes to your practice and you want to see if that's making patients happier or not. So you can check all the ratings, and you can actually look at individual ratings as well, not just the big picture. But I think this happiness rating, we look at our production numbers every month. We look at our receivables every month. We should also be looking at our happiness rating every month, because that's really what's going to drive that production to begin with. So that is my tip on reviews. I do want to mention some special offers that we are running right now. Some of the services to implement these strategies are really at a low rate right now. So texting, we have 50% off, $79 a month, and that's just through the end of this month. And then it'll be a different price after that. But that comes with a 30-day free trial. Same with our online reviews, 30-day free trial. And online scheduling, 30-day free trial. You can take advantage of any of these smart tools. And if you bundle them up, you'll save even more money. So long story short, you have the opportunity to implement all this stuff really easily using PracticeWeb. And if you need to renew support to get the latest version of PracticeWeb, we also have a great offer for that at $99 a month, which is really low. And that will be going up soon. So take advantage of that if you're not currently on support and you don't have the current version of PracticeWeb. And to sign up, you can simply go to our website. And actually from within PracticeWeb, if you go to the help menu, the e-services menu, there's a sign up link within PracticeWeb that'll take you here or take you right to the form. But otherwise you can go to our website and there's some, a big red button that says sign up for Smart Tools, and it's right there. Now, if you want help implementing any of these strategies, you want to know more information, contact our sales team, 800-845-9379, option 1. You can also email us at sales@practice-web.com. But I think if you go back and watch this again and you really pay attention, you really try to implement these strategies, you're going to see not only 50, maybe not even more than 73, maybe 100 patients a month. So we would love for that to happen for your practice, and I think you can do it. If you need to contact support as well, then you can do that through the help menu in PracticeWeb. That'll take you to the support page and you can contact us. Definitely connect with us on social media. Of course, YouTube. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so. It's right there underneath this video. But also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and our blog, which has amazing articles on it. and really get educated. And this is how you can use the service you already have, Practice Web, to really and optimize that and really boost everything you're doing. So thank you. You've got this. You can do it. You can get those 50 patients, 7,300. Let's go higher and higher. We can see amazing results. Let's work together, and you've got this. Thank you again for your time, and we will have more great content up for you very soon. But I really enjoyed spending this time with you, and I hope you got a lot from it as well.